Hello, this is Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times. I'm here with my colleague Justin Chang. We're going to talk about The Graduate. It's a 50-year-old film, but it's going to be back in theaters. You can experience it for the first time or once again, and we're going to, kind of hash it out. Justin, what did you think?
Yeah, I hadn't seen The Graduate in many years, Kenny. It was, it was a pleasure to revisit it. I think this is a film that certainly endures. I mean, it felt like a generational touchstone back in the 60s, and it still does, I think, in some ways today. I think a lot of, millennials will very much relate to Benjamin Braddock, played by Dustin Hoffman, in a role that made him a movie star. And it's funny, too, when we think about how it's not so uncommon anymore for the romantic misadventures of socially awkward young Jewish men in a way. That was kind of a radical idea back in 1967. Robert Redford was considered ideal casting, and of course, Nichols and company had the intuition to cast Hoffman instead.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Apparently, from what I've read of the history, that Hoffman came in and he just They weren't looking for someone like him, especially as you say. They had Redford in mind. They called the character surfboards. They were supposed to be blonde and big, and they ended up with Dustin Hoffman. I have to say, for me, I just wasn't. It didn't work for me as much as it did. I mean, I admire the film enormously. The level of craft is really kind of amazing. It got nominated for 7 Oscars. It won for Nichols for Best Director, and the list of the people who worked on it is just like from top to bottom, just some of the best of Hollywood craft. But emotionally, I've often felt that for me, Mike Nichols' films are kind of cold, and maybe they're supposed to be cold. But I just felt that this film was colder than I wanted it to be on renewed viewing, and I just wasn't. I admired it enormously. I think it's significant, but in terms of did I actually enjoy seeing it again, for the most part, with some exceptions, I have to say no.
Say no. It's interesting because I think it's it's a film that I would say doesn't hold up well enough, but I think that a lot of things that made it sort of groundbreaking at the time have kind of so seeped into movie culture and just movie making that it's hard to see, even just the use of Simon and Garfunkel, the sort of, some of the stylistic innovation of, the way he kind of uses the camera. It's not so groundbreaking anymore, and not that it has to be for it to be a pleasurable experience. It's funny. I mean, my favorite thing about the movie still is Anne Bancroft's performance, and I feel like she gives a better performance in some ways than the movie deserves, given kind of how. Yeah. Mrs. Robinson kind of became a sex symbol, became a punchline, and I feel like Anne Bancroft's performance is better than that, and it's a little sad the way that character sort of is treated by the movie, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I agree on all counts. I mean, I do agree that part of the things that made it groundbreaking we just don't see anymore because it's been taken for granted. Yeah. And for me, really, Anne Bancroft was the highlight of the film. I mean, she's a real character. She's a real person. She has moments later in the film where you see real agony on her face. Yeah, she's very, very impressive. And I think they rehearsed for weeks before they shot, and the interplay between her and Dustin Hoffman, even though, again, there's supposed to be this huge age gap. In fact, there's only 6 years difference in their ages. Yeah. I think that still holds up as much as anything. It's great to see them working off each other. It's a real great two-hander. It's just the rest of it didn't necessarily work for me.
Well, our listeners and readers can find out for themselves if they've seen The Graduate before, or if they are coming to it for the first time. The movie will be back in theaters. Go see it. Let us know what you think, and find more film stories at latimes.com.